Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing the new Double Down seasonal event, which is an alternate game in which every card in our starting deck gets duplicated, and every time we play a unit, we play a random unit with the same provision cost from our deck on the same turn. And today we're playing one of the strongest decks, and my favorite deck, that is much stronger than usual for a reason you might not suspect. So let's go give it a look. So today we'll be revisiting a Northern Realms Royal Inspiration Knights deck that was already really strong and a ton of fun in this event, but is now even stronger than it was the last time we played this deck because of changes to a card that is not even in this deck. However, the changes to Geralt Yrden, that card in question, cannot be overstated because this was previously the card that countered our deck more than any other card and previously was an automatic inclusion in just about every deck in this event. However, now that Geralt Yrden has this Adrenaline 2 ability, making it so it is much harder for our opponent to reset all of our cards at the end of the match, suddenly it is much easier for us to go absolutely crazy with a whole bunch of boosts on all of our knights here, and that is what we're going to focus on doing here, because in this event, we get two damsels in distress, which is incredibly busted. The way we do this is because when you play an artifact, you don't automatically play an artifact from your deck in this event. It's only when you play a unit that happens. What we do is we will play Avallac'h Sage, which is our only 10 provision cost unit, which means you play one Avallac'h Sage, you're going to be guaranteed to get the other one out from your deck. So you play one of them, you get Damsel. Play the other one, you get your second Damsel. So you get two damsels on the board in the same round, in the same turn, and that means any knight you play is just so much stronger than it would otherwise typically be. So that is one of our win conditions. Other than that, we have a whole bunch of other boost-centric cards and knights that can still work even without the damsels, although of course they're even stronger when they do have them. So we have stuff like Queen Meve, who when boosted up can boost all of our other units. Stuff like Vysogota, who can give a whole bunch of boosts to one specific unit, so if you have something that you really want to get the Grace ability on, use Vysogota to make that happen. Reynard, who helps spread the boosts around to a bunch of other units. Obviously, he's also a knight as well, so you can get his Grace active when you're using Damsel in Distress to get some additional boosts going. And Strenger, not a knight, and so for that reason, maybe best when you're not using Damsel, but in your other round, definitely a good option still. A little bit of control with Margarita, and then we have a bunch of knights with knight errants. I mean, you load up the board with a ton of these guys, and the amount of boosts is just ridiculous you can get from these guys, especially with Damsel. Then you can help set them up with stuff like Squire, and Tridam Infantry can be the target of some of your boosts, especially when you are using Vysogota. Or, card that I think we might have skipped over there, Maiden Shield, another one of the big knights we can use here. Great with Damsel, but also if you get a lot of boosts on this, then you get out Bronwyn. Bronwyn, once she gets powered up enough, can basically double the amount of boosts you receive in one of your units, so do that on a Tridam Infantry to double the amount of boosts and damage you get from that, and that is ridiculously strong. And then other just high value bronzes, Stun Banner, since we have twice as many of these as usual, play one of them, boost one of them, summon all of them out. Really nice thinning, solid value there. Good board flooding to combine with Meve. Cintrian Knight, not a huge fan personally of it, but it is a knight. It does have a grace ability, so there are definitely still some synergies there. Does some boosting, of course. And then Radovid's Royal Guards, a little bit more boosting, help you get up to the grace number if you just need a little bit more to make that happen. And Redanian Knight, also very solid engine, has grace, works well with Damsel in Distress, so all around, great card there. And that's really all there is to it. So it is basically boost like no other deck can boost. And because there's no more Yrden, or at least it's much less common now that it has received this nerf, it is much easier for you to keep those boosts for the remainder of the match. And even if your opponent does play Yrden, they're forced to do it when they still have multiple cards remaining. So even if they do reset both your rows with a double Yrden, you still have some time to boost your cards back up even after that. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against monsters here. And they'll go first. Okay, and at least with our scenario, I do like having one Avallac'h and no damsels in our hand. That way we can get two damsels. Probably something we'd like to save for round 2 or round 3, but we can do that all in one turn. Probably like to summon out Redanian Knights with that, or Squires. So I might want to get rid of some of these who have a lot of 4 provision cost cards. Okay, so that's what we don't want. We also don't want multiple dun banners, which is why I got rid of that, but okay. So we have good setup for a later round. Problem is going to be this round. I mean, we could theoretically go straight into double damsel, but that feels like that's generally not a great idea round 1, because then your opponent can pass early and feels like you kind of miss the opportunity to benefit from the double scenario. Granted, you know, you win the round, so I guess there is still something to be said for that. But otherwise, we're looking at Reynard plus Meve, I think, is probably our win condition for this round. And we'd like to try to save Maiden Shield and Knight Errant for when we do break out those damsels in a later round, I would think. We can thin out the Dun banners with Meve or with Reynard, boosted up by Meve, which is a decent synergy there. So let's start with you. This might get us Vysogota, who could also be a very big factor as well. He is going to be a very obvious target for them, though. If they have any control, they probably are full-blown Thrive by the looks of things, which is... oh, perhaps not. I will admit now I have no idea what they're doing. So they're going to run out of board space very quickly if they do this. Yeah, but you're going to give us a ton of boosts. So now let's go Meve. And, I mean, we do have, at 9 provisions, the chance of getting out Donimir, our defender, in which case putting all of our valuable stuff in the same row. There is something to be said for that if we do happen to get Donimir, but that's, of course, not guaranteed. I'm going to try it just in case. Well, there he is. That's why I did it. Alright, so we could immediately boost up Reynard up to Grace 12. Not really sure it's all that necessary. Let's boost you up so we don't have everyone tied up at 8. That scares me a little bit. Okay, Foglit. I mean, it's a lot of Death Wish now, and I don't know what to make of this. I mean, it's a very low commitment. Bunch of low provision cost cards. And nothing that is particularly threatening outside of these Dragon Larvae, but they haven't really been building around those much as of late. So in that case, I think we don't do anything too crazy here. Let's get the thinning value from Dun Banner. Maybe we'll do that in the melee row, because that'll take up a lot of space, and then we'll use our remaining charges on Tridam Infantry. Okay, and there all you go. And for you, and I guess we'll put you in there. As I said, I'd like to save some Redanian Knights for when we do go double scenario, because those are pretty useful cards to have. But I'm gonna kind of like to save most of our charges for Tridam Infantry, which is probably gonna be our next play and possibly last play in this round. So then Meve is gonna do her thing. All right, Griffin. I mean, that's not a bad play. That's the most logical play they've done since using the Thrive engines on turn 1. I mean, they are in the lead, for what it's worth. Obviously, they play more card than us right now, but they just haven't done as much setup as I would have expected them to have done at this stage. So now let's go Tridam Infantry. You, if you're going to receive a lot of boosts, are going to get pretty big, so we should probably hide you behind the defender as well. Okay, we should have cards we can hit with the Death Blow here. What's the most efficient option? Well, I mean, it's basically just the rats, right? It's basically just the rats. Okay, so let's put you here. I mean, granted, we don't have the Damsel, so it's not like triggering Grace is going to boost adjacent units, but just out of habit alone. Okay, then for all of our charges, which we really should start to use, I think we do want to make sure that we get you up to your Grace number. It does take some time to use all these charges. I am going to use this. And then take the rest on Tridam Infantry. Which, this last one might not... yeah, it's probably going to go on one of their units. So, there's a good example of Vysogota. It takes a long time to use all the charges, and if you wait too long and your turn technically ends, it is possible to boost your opponent with it. Which is why I was saying, if you're starting to run out of time, right-clicking can cancel out the order ability, so that is the right move, but just trying to sneak one in at the last second there. But yeah, now we have a much bigger lead because we've benefited more from our setup here. Did expect they might have some form of tolerable. They get rid of our defender. Yigern. He is a big point slam. After the Thrive goes, they are not in the lead. So we could pass. They have played one more card than us. It's one turn earlier than we'd like for that to be the case. I mean, if we could get rid of you, that'd be awesome, obviously. 5 armor. That's not out of the question, although don't have great sources of damage here. Outside of losing armor on Redanian Knight. Yeah, so I'm not really sure we have great options there. So we could pass. Meve will continue to generate more points, but slowly. Probably not quick enough for that to be a big factor. Redanian Knight will get boosted. Lose out on the charges from Vysogota. So I don't love that. Most of our remaining stuff here is engine stuff. We'll do it. And I would have used Vysogota charges there if we had time, but again, I was pokey because I was indecisive as to whether I wanted to go that route or not. But by just having this round go a little bit longer, I mean, on one hand, we benefit from long rounds with things like Meve, Vysogota, and Redanian Knights, but they also benefit with all their Thrive, which again, I was not clear on the extent to which they were actually building around that, because they were pokey. That is going to trigger some Death Wish stuff. Unfortunately, that is... Oh, well, they've consumed Ygern. Yeah, so I was going to say that would be decent for us, but I mean, we could still boost you up and trigger your Grace. That does still work. So, I mean, we're basically talking about, at this point, we're looking at the 4 provision cost cards that we don't love. Obviously, we're not going to do double Damsel at this point in time. It's pretty late for Maiden Shield, although we probably have enough charges plus leader ability if we really wanted to, where we could get pretty darn aggressive with that. Tell you what, we're gonna do it. New Donimir. I think it's still Rage Row. Now we are going crazy here. Should also do this, but... Okay, right-click this, cancel it out, so just wanted to trigger the Grace there, and make sure we don't, similarly to what can happen with Vysogota, I want to make sure we don't accidentally use a random leader ability on something else. So yeah, this is definitely turning into a little more chaotic of a round than I was expecting. At first, I perhaps underestimated them a bit after they put the Thrive engines down, yes, but then didn't really trigger the Thrive for a while. But now they have not caught us, and that means they are a card down here, so unless they have something clever, don't really think there is a good answer for them. So, I mean, it'd be nice to use Bronwyn on something like Tridam Infantry and then boost up Tridam Infantry to get it dealing more damage more quickly. But at this point, I think we settle for, I mean, Meve is going to go off, so that's still going to generate a lot of points for us. And as I said, we're still going to get this doing some boosting as well. So I think we just force them to go either let us win with 1 extra card, or force them to play extra cards to win the round, and they'll give us round 1 win with 1 card advantage. Okay, so let's just double check. We have Maiden Shield here. What else do we have in terms of 9 provision cost cards? Maybe I think it's just going to be our other Meve. So that's fine. We want to make sure we have some Grace units to combine with the Damsel stuff we're going to do. Would like to get rid of that. Amphibious Assault, that would have been nice in the previous round. Okay. So we have 1 card advantage. We could push here on that card advantage, or we could pass now, force them to play something. We'd be 2 cards up in round 3 and have triple Last Say, which there's something to be said for that, because the greatest weakness of this deck is our opponent using forms of tall removal. Previously Errant, although after the nerf, that's not as big of a deal. So having double or triple Last Say is pretty huge. So I think we might go for the dry pass here. Yes, we probably have a reasonable chance of making it work with the card advantage, but, you know, they have proven to be decent with their Thrive engines. So we'll play it safe. Naturally, now we get all the cards I would have liked in round 1. I mean, we still made it work in round 1, obviously, but Oneiromancy is nice. Radovid's Royal card's not great, but we definitely don't want Damsel, because basically our plan is Avallac'h Sage is going to give us the other Avallac'h Sage guaranteed, because it's only 10 provision cost unit, so that'll give us both Damsels. So yes, we're looking for really anything other than that, and for that reason, let's not risk it on this last mulligan. I'd like to just guarantee that we have the perfect setup there. Alright, so they're going to go for more Thrive. That's not terribly surprising. And the other thing is we would have liked to have had the opportunity to put some of our ideal Damsel summoning targets. In fact, what are they going to be? Oh, we could still go Redanian Knights. Knight Errants. We're going to get both of them out, I believe, when we play these, because I think there are only 5 provision cost unit. Don't quote me on that. But, okay. Yeah, so obviously, I mean, we'd like to do that early. We no longer have Donimir, right? So that's not really an option to help protect with that. Just trying to anticipate what we're going to want to use our tutors on and what have you. Yeah, I mean, there's really no reason not to do this turn 1. So, get a Damsel. And we might split these cross rows. I mean, technically, that means we should do this in that case. Because guaranteed to get the other one here. And we need it to be range row if we're going to do one of the Redanian Knights. So yeah, it is usually something you do range row for that reason. This way we have a little bit of the best of both worlds. Alright, they're going to put the bleed on. That's not a huge deal. That will trigger Thrive rather than becoming a Thrive unit. Okay, so now what do we want to use Squire on? It's probably going to end up being Reynard, which we could get with Oneiro or Amphibious Assault. I think our other target there is going to end up being... No, we're going to get Meve with Maiden Shield. So, I mean, it could be on Maiden Shield. That's not a terrible option either, of course. Both of those are pretty high priority. So yeah, this is going to give us Meve, and Reynard is going to give us Vysogota, both of which are also high priority targets. So take your pick. I think we'll go Reynard here and Amphibious Assault for him because he is 8 provisions, whereas there's Vysogota, whereas the other stuff we were talking about was 9 provisions. Oh, well, actually, I mean, again, Maiden Shield is in our hand, so I guess, technically, we could have gone Oneiro there and used Amphibious Assault for something lower provision. Okay, Noon Wraith. I mean, if they flood our side of the board, that actually could become problematic. Because, obviously, we have a lot of stuff we're trying to play here. But they don't have anything to immediately consume the Noon Wraith. So that's actually the biggest threat they have right now. So now we'd probably like to go Maiden Shield pretty much immediately. The problem is, and the reason why I put this original Damsel in the melee rows, because as you can see, we have some stuff that's row locked to the range row. If you put the Damsel in there, even the Avallac'hs are row locked to the range row, it gets really crowded here really quickly. And we do generally want to play our knights next to each other so we can benefit from all the grace procs with the Damsels, so that's why it's a little tricky making all that work in an optimal way. But let's put you down. I don't really think we're going to be able to get someone on this side of Reynard all that easily. Let's just go here. So we'll give us Meve. I guess we can go Meve. Meve here, because she's not Grace. Then let's go on you. With just enough space there. This is our other copy of this from, so we'll go there. From our second Damsel. So that's why double Damsel is pretty absurd. Because we didn't even use our Vysogota charges there. We probably should use these soon, because that's going to be an obvious target for them to go after. But, yeah, that's pretty... Yeah. So I'm curious who they go for here. I honestly didn't... Was it Reynard? Yeah, so that's why we had the double Donimir in round 1, our defender. So we would have ideally liked to have had one of those Donimirs in this round as well, because, as we were just saying, we have a ton of valuable stuff in this range row, but we don't have a way to protect it much anymore. So now... Anna Strenger is guaranteed to give us another Anna Strenger, so there is something to be said for getting her on the board quickly, because she also benefits, of course, from all the boosting stuff, as does Knight Errant. Knight Errant doesn't really have a lot of room to work here in this row, but we could go Knight Errant here, that'll get out another Knight Errant from our deck, and then we just use Vysogota to boost up all these guys so that Knight Errants are maximizing their boostages. I think we go that route. We could probably do that. We're going to want something on this side of the Knight Errant soon, of course, but... Okay, so that means we need to boost you up. And we'll probably do this on you. So now you're boosted, so you'll get boosted from that. And similarly there, it's technically all we need, but we should probably boost you a little bit more just to keep you more safely out of removal range. And we'll save some of those Vysogota charges. I mean, again, technically, it's a little dangerous. But, you know, for something like Anna Strenger on our next turn, or another round of Knight Errant, basically just make this a chain of Knight Errants. Okay, where they go range row with that, understandable, but fine. I mean, if you get rid of the Avallac'h, that'd actually be great, because that'd give us a lot of additional space. Alright, so I think we're looking at probably more Knight Errants, and we might also want to go leader ability charges, otherwise we're going to miss our opportunity to trigger the Grace with those and get additional charges of our leader ability. So let's go for this, and honestly, we might even run out of board space before they have the chance to play some of these 4 provision cost cards. Squires, as I was saying before, are some of the cards you usually like to target with Damsel, but we already have one on the board, I'll reuse that, and by the time we get around to playing this, it's going to be pretty late in the round and not all that effective, so might just not worry too much about that. Okay, so now let's go a little bit crazy here. Let's see, so your grace number is 9, so it means we have just enough for you. And that's going to go kind of crazy. Now 3, which means we have just enough for this. And now we want to hold off on that one for the time being, which actually means we don't really need to use Vysogota at the moment. We'll save it, but again, the longer you wait, the more we're kind of begging them to answer him, but at the same time, we've done so much setup in the other row now that if we lose Vysogota, it's not the end of the world. So previously, the biggest danger when playing this deck was Geralt's Errant, because he could reset one row, and then in this event, you could get 2 Errants in one turn, and so you can reset both rows on their last turn if they have last say. That's almost a death sentence for us. However, after Errant got reworked recently, he now has, what, Adrenaline 2 or Adrenaline 3, so that's much more difficult, and because we have that, what it was, a triple last say or something like that, that just made it so that it's pretty much impossible for them to counter us with Errant, because even if they did reset both rows, we still have a lot of time to use Vysogota and the Knight Errants and leader ability to boost ourselves back up. So now I think we're looking at probably Anna Strenger here, and now we'll use our leader ability to boost her. We'd like to have something else on that side of you, I suppose. I mean, basically we just have a lot of stuff we want to have boosting, getting boosted, and not a lot of room for it. So we want something on this side now, for you as well, which, I mean, it could be Radovid's Rock Gods, could be anything, could be some we get from Oneiro. Have to double check what the best option for that would be. Alright, double Osrel. Assume this is the Yiggerns that they're eating here. Which they have one on the board right now, so 1 Yiggern, 1 something else. So, or we could Margarita to lock something if we really needed to. Tridam Infantry is probably the best option here, because we just pour whatever remaining boost we have on that and put it in a place where it's getting a ton of boost as well. And they may have just rage quit because it's going to be pretty darn difficult for them to come back from this one. Even if we do run out of board space, because we are generating so many points from the automatic boost we have at the end of every turn, it's not even going to matter. And so, we will take the win. Alright, it's going up against Northern Realms here. And they'll go first. Okay, so notably with regard to our scenario, which is the thing that we generally need to be most mindful of setting up here, we do not have any scenarios in hand, which is good, but we also don't have any Avallac'hs in hand. We want exactly 1 Avallac'h and only 1 Avallac'h. We could get that with Oneiro, that is certainly an option, but let's at least try mulliganing out some of our 4 provision cost units here. Meve, certainly a nice pickup. Not sure to what extent. Yeah, we might want lock removal just in case. We'll put you back into the deck as well. There is 1 Avallac'h. Okay, so now that opens up the option of going double scenario. Okay. Are they patience overall? Or is it just a coincidence that they have double Istrid? I mean, they do stack, for what it's worth. So double Istrid is legitimately a powerful threat. And even their stratagem. Oh, it's interesting. Melitele, okay. Alright, I've not seen a double down Melitele deck yet, I don't think, so I'm actually very curious to see how this is going to pan out for them. But as I said, these guys, they are a threat, especially if we allow both of them to work in tandem, because they will not only increase their patience, each of them, but they will both get boosted, and they will both set up each other's boosts in a way similar to Snowdrop plus Iterand of sorts, although to a much less extreme, as those guys did in +1. So, as for what we'd like to do here, I mean, I'd rather not go for a double scenario right here, right now. I'd kind of like to lock these guys, to tell you the truth, which we could do if we went Oneiro into... We should technically go other Oneiro, and then where is Margarita? This is going to be slower than I would like it to be. It's guaranteed to be the other Margarita. I obviously would have liked to have locked these guys immediately, but it took me an eternity to find Margarita. Okay, learning a little bit more here. Some siege, and siege masters to go along with that. How many, though? That's gonna boost Istrid, isn't it? Or boost the cards they've tried to. Yeah, that's very clever. Not the most obvious of synergies there, but it is absolutely a synergy. Oh, and they did use the Istrids. Wow. Wait, did they? I don't see their orders lighting up anymore, but I thought that card draw was coming from just the Siege Masters. Perhaps not. Yeah, I mean, I was going to lock those guys, but I guess we scared them into using those orders a little bit earlier than they had otherwise planned. But they will still get boosted every time they draw a card, and it does very much seem like, especially if they're a Melitele deck, that they're going to try to do any and everything they can to make that happen more often. So there is probably still something to be said for locking these guys. But they have made that a little less intriguing after having used those abilities a little bit earlier than anticipated. It might have to be Vysogota or Meve here as our primary win condition, because again, we're trying to save our scenario for the most part. I think that... Okay, it's going to be double Meve, apparently. I think that Vysogota just gets answered too easily when they have this damage on the board here. That's the reason why I went with Meve instead, because Vysogota is relatively frail. But we now need a way to boost up these Meves, so it might end up being Vysogota anyway. Meve does need to get boosted, but she has at least a little bit of armor and obviously higher base power. So, much harder for them to get rid of her. Mata would be a way to set up Istrids, which is, again, why I still made a point of locking those Istrids, because they would be getting boosted right now. But is also kind of devious, because people are going to run out of board space here. I mean, they've used up more board space than we have at this point. So in some ways, that benefits us more than it benefits them. But there is the Melitele. Yeah, so it is very interesting what they're going for here. But it is, I would argue, pretty high risk. Okay, so we could go Cintrian Knight. And we have the Death Blow. But as I said, we very much want to have a way to get these Meves boosted up. Which I think it probably more or less has to be Vysogota. And then use Vysogota pretty much immediately to power up the Meves, get them inspired, and then... Yes, they have some damage. Not a ton. They might be able to remove one Vysogota immediately, but... Maybe not two Vysogotas, though. Maybe not two Vysogotas, though. Let's get you inspired. You are not going to be inspired, unfortunately. But, again, there's just a lot of engines on the board now, so it makes it much harder for them to figure out what they want to answer, because they probably can't answer everything, but the easiest ones to go after will be the Vysogotas, for sure. Commander's Horn? Yeah, I mean, they're going for the wide boost. Oh, and that counts as a Warfare card now. True. Recent change there. So that gave the cooldowns on these guys, but now we just needed to be able to get that Meve boost up, which we should be able to do now. Otherwise, I mean, Tridam Infantry would be another potential target for those boosts, but I mean, Cintrian Knight is kind of a simple, straightforward answer. I mean, they have a lot more points than we do right now. Then again, with all those Matas, we both still have a lot of cards remaining in our hands, so it's not as if this round is about to end anytime soon, despite us already having played a bunch of cards here. So, we still need to really out-engine them. I don't think that Cintrian Knight makes a lot of sense for that reason. Unfortunately, Knight Errant only has one card that's going to be boosted next to it, in all likelihood. Unless we do... Tell you what we'll do. We'll do this. So we'll give us another Knight Errant. Boost. 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 So now we have a lot of engines on the board. I don't know why they're going after Margarita. That seems a little bit odd. Try to set up an Igni here? Get everything lined up at 5? Surely not. Okay, it's more Melitele setup, and I imagine, you know, they're going to get these boosted up, so I think we're going to have to abandon the Cintrian Knight. I mean, it was basically just a low investment, decent value play. It's not amazing. So, don't think it's a huge deal if we miss out on it. Okay, now... And I'd like to save this Knight Errant for when we break out the double scenario, because it is obviously a really strong card. And Tridam Infantry, I mean, for what boost we have remaining on Vysogota, could be a decent target. Otherwise, we could use Mahakam Ale just to boost up Vysogota, make it harder for them to answer. Obviously, that's 5 points is not a huge deal short term, but long term, if it means Vysogota survives, could ultimately still pay off. But otherwise, we're looking at a bunch of 4 provision cost cards here, which is not ideal. I think we just do this. Okay, that's nice, though. So we do this. This is just in time, because this Meve is about to go off. So we boost you. You're going to do that. Get a lot more units for Meve to power up. We might want to just get these Meves a little more safely in the inspired range. Oh, I forgot about this. That's why they're messing with this Margarita. I totally should have realized that. It was to slow down this Knight Errant. Okay. So, I mean, we could still power it up with Mahakam Ale, but obviously rather not do that. Okay, Margarita. It's all very much designed around Melitele. Which does have some long-term build-up potential, which is a little scary, but again, we have the potential of going double scenario, which should be very helpful. I think what we do is, rather than trying to boost up this Margarita, we just play something else that gets boosted in between, namely, this could be a time for the Knight Errant, or rather the Cintrian Knight. So go there, go Deathblow on probably a Volunteer. It could also be a Siege Master, but that's definitely not as useful. So we do this. That should get you boosted, and then for you, we'll just go range row. And otherwise, we can guarantee we get the boost. So they might try to go after this. Yeah, either way. Not too concerned about that. Technically, yeah, it's just Vitality for the moment. It's going to be a little while until you're actually inspired and powering you up. So it's a case to be made for going melee row, giving the boost there, but so be it. Well, I guess the Meve goes off, so that does still work then. And now we have the infusions, which should make it much less intriguing for them to damage those guys. But yeah, they are going to go after. I mean, if their highest priority target is the Radovid's Royal Guards, then so be it. More merchant stuff for Melitele. Did they actually get her, though? Let's see. Now, here's the thing. They're 10 points ahead. However, we have a lot of points we're scoring automatically at the end of our turn now. So we need to be mindful of we might not even need to play here. Like, you're going to get boosted by 2. You're going to get boosted by 2. That's 4. You're going to get boosted by 3. That's 7. It's not quite enough. Not quite enough. So perhaps we do still go a little bit further here. Don't have great targets or don't have a great source of boost for Tridam Infantry outside the Meves, which is not really all that sustainable at this stage. If we really thought this round was going to go longer, we could go Squire into Tridam Infantry. That's still not great because you're not a knight, so you don't do that that boosting long term. I think it's still this. It's probably still this. And that's not terrible. Might use this on you. Would have liked the armor, but so be it. Needs more engines on the board. Guess they're going to try to deny this race or just take you out altogether. But again, like, if destroying a weak little 4 or 5 provision cost unit is the best you can do, then I don't think we're too worried about that. Alright, and here you see, like, they've continued to draw cards non-stop. So locking Istrid was absolutely crucially important here. If we had not done that, they would have way more points than they do right now. So again, they have an 11-point lead here, which is about what they had last time. However, now we have even more engines on the board, which means you're going to go off for what it's worth. Which with all these units on the board, we definitely are going to outscore them without even needing to play anything right here. You're also going to get boosted by 2, boosted by 2, boosted by 1, boosted by 1, and after the Meve kicks in, you're close, but I don't think quite gonna hit the Grace. So point is, I think we pass here, because I think they've underestimated our potential. Because now they've played one more card, but they are still losing, so they may need to go multiple cards down here, or they let us win the round despite having 1 extra card, so they are gonna play. But now the other Meve is going to activate on this turn, so this is still dangerous. This is still dangerous. They need to be very careful here. Because I am not sure they have caught us even after that play. They have not. They are in serious trouble. So that's why, by out-engineering them with stuff that can continue to get boosts even after passing, we made this extremely difficult for them. They probably will catch us on this turn, but at what cost? At what cost? 3 extra cards they have to play to win round 1. Alright, so we have our 2 echoed copies of Oneiro. That's nice. Presumably they're going to drive pass here because we've 3 extra cards relative to them. So what I think we want to do here is we do want to be mindful of, if we play all of our cards, we're probably going to run out of board space, to be honest. So if they do push a little bit in round 2, that's fine, but we'd like to just, well, optimize our hand a little bit more here, perhaps. But we do have decent throwaways, I suppose. But at this point, it's going to be really difficult for them to do anything to stop us. They might just be, I don't know, going absolutely crazy, going all in on this round, even though we have all this card advantage, because there's no other way for them to make this work. Basically, they are going to live by Melitele or die by Melitele, and they did get her activated there. So that's, I guess, something. But as I said, we don't mind that much if they push a little bit in round 2, because otherwise we're going to probably run out of board space in round 3 anyway. We'd like to save some of our knights for the Avallac'h double scenario combo. So, and we did play a fair number of knights in round 1, so I'd like to save you, and you if possible, although granted, you are kind of our best engines here. Cintrian Knight is also a knight, although generally I'm not as big of a fan of it. Oneiro. What could we do with Oneiro? Oneiro into and a Strenger. Double and a Strenger. I mean, I want something that gives us some potential long-term. You know, it is an engine, but it's not a critically important engine, so if it does get shut down, it's not a huge deal, or if they do pass now, it's not like we lost something huge. Then we can throw a Tridam Infantry in between these if we'd like to, and that's worth a lot. So we've outpaced them, so they do need to play here if they are truly trying to push 2-0. Yeah, I wonder, I think they're going to just try to play Melitele at the end of this round and go absolutely all in and hope that, I mean, they have mulligan Melitele a bunch of times here, so I honestly don't know how much that's going to be worth. Which is why I think we do still need to take this seriously. Do still need to be prepared for a long round and can't just use purely throwaway cards here. So, we do of course still have Avallac'h Sage, double scenario combo, though that does take a little bit of time to receive the full benefit out of that, so if we are going to need to go that route, definitely do not want to have that be the last thing we do. But again, that's why I went Strenger first, that we are at least doing something productive here. And this is not bad. This is not bad. Good old-fashioned Tridam Infantry and Strenger combos here. Old-fashioned Northern Realms. You'll love to see it. Ooh, Temple, okay. They have one around, which means they're gonna, what did they put? They put back one of our Strangers, and the one that's in the middle, naturally. That's annoying, but sure. Okay, so, and that is our only 7 provision cost unit, which they don't know, but that means that the Stranger that is now in our deck is kind of a brick, because we're not getting the benefit from Double Down anymore. We're getting just 1 unit whenever we play her. So, alright. We are still in the lead, though. But as I was saying, I imagine at this point they've basically 100% committed to playing Melitele directly, rather than just mulliganing her on this round. And I don't know how impactful that's going to be brutally honest with you. So I think we need to be prepared to be fairly aggressive here, and perhaps it is time. Let's go Knight Errants. Like to have something we can put on this side, but we don't really want to do that with the Knight Errants, to be honest. So we might need to do this. Which is obviously not perfect for the first turn, at least, because one of these guys did not have a boosted unit on both sides. Yeah, and the Radovids mean more pincer maneuver charges, which means more Melitele set up. I mean, it's clearly what they're going for. We know it's going to happen. It's just a matter of I have no idea how much it's worth at this stage. And I feel as though there is certainly the potential to underestimate it. So there it is again, and now more card drawn, what have you. Okay. So again, setting up engines. So we are ready to do some stuff. I mean, I suppose having the knights on the board preemptively and then switching into our scenario is not the end of the world. So once these graces have not yet triggered, so that does still benefit from Damsel in that way. And then we could go Damsel now, with the logic being that they are going all in on this round. This is their last card they're about to play, which is going to be Melitele. And if we can just beat them with our double scenario, then they're going to be having almost nothing remaining in round 3. We're going to have huge card advantage. So I think we actually do it. Okay, I'm going to go melee row just because we're running out of board space here in the range row, and you need to be in the range row. Which means these are probably going to have to be Squires rather than Redanian Knights. But basically that was to make... It's more or less going to be a huge Redanian Knight here, and we can now make Oneiromancy a lot more threatening. Mantlet? Hold on, what? Did I just get the biggest debate ever? Or are they just going to go use Melitele here with leader ability? I thought they were still going to play her. But maybe they determined that mulliganing her twice with leader ability was going to be more effective. And they just pray that they draw into her in round 3 if we still find a way to... I mean, I don't think they're planning it all for round 3, basically. Zal just draw Melitele, mulligan Melitele, and hope that that's good enough. Which... Okay. I was just concerned when I saw they didn't play Melitele there that they made us think they were doing all this all-in stuff and forced us into using our double scenarios and our best round 3 win condition, and in return they didn't actually use their win condition for round 3, although, as we're saying, you know, if we can win on this turn, then we're going to have a pretty huge card advantage going into the next round, so still not too worried about that. Let's go Redanian Knight here, get this down, and Tridam Infantry. Okay. I think that still works. And I think we're going to go pretty crazy on leader ability charges now. And this might just trigger everyone's grace once we do this. I think it probably will. So, we've definitely won this round, and we will have 3 card advantage going into round 3. They did all this crazy Melitele stuff. Also, the Traveling Merchant is going insane right now. The question is, if they find a way to play Melitele directly from hand, is that enough of a difference maker that they can still win this, even when they're 3 cards down? I wouldn't think so, but who knows? Alright, I don't think we need Mahakam Ale here. As I was saying, Strenger is now currently our only 7 provision cost card. So for that reason, not great value from her. Granted, Mahakam Ale is also obviously only going to be 1 card as well, because it's not a unit. So I think what we'll do here is we will start with Reynard as our key engine. That'll either get out the other Reynard. Yeah, we'll get out the other Reynard. The other thing it would have potentially given us was Vysogota, but we got both of them out in round 1. So we'll do this. And you're just barely in range for our leader ability, so that's good. It's also definitely something... probably should have gone Squire and then Reynard. But either one gives good long-term value. I mean, they still have ways to shuffle, potentially, Melitele around. I'm so unsure. So unsure how effective this is going to be. I have no idea. I mean, this is crazy, right? They're 3 cards down, but at the same time, they have set up Melitele. Oh, and they have another Istrid as well. Okay. So, I think what we'll do here is we'll go Squire and then go Oneiromancy into our preferred target for that boost, which will likely be Maiden Shield. Be a little bit late for a Maiden Shield, but I think we can still make that work. In fact, we can... Not sure if I've ever tried doing double Squire order on the same unit in Double Down, but I assume that works. In which case, that should make it much easier to make Maiden Shield work. Okay, we know what they're trying to do. We have no idea how effective it's going to be, though. Okay, so now we go double Squire into Oneiro for Maiden Shield, which will give us our other main... might not be guaranteed to give us our other main shield. We do have other 9 provision cost units, so let's see what this does. It does give us Donimir instead. I think that's better. So that way we can protect here, because we're obviously starting to invest a lot in this row. And yes, we do get the double infusion there, so that's huge, because that means Maiden Shield now will very easily hit this Grace ability. Something I was a little bit concerned about, given how we were playing him a little bit late and not in the same round as Damsel. But yeah, I'm not concerned about this, Reynard. They're going after him, but I'm basically committing to Royal Inspiration on you. Which I guess we could just do that now. Play it safe. It's not really going to get boosted from other stuff, is he? Oh, these have been mulliganed a lot as well. Oh, hold on. And that's their last play, though. That is their last play. They're not playing Melitele directly, although they might be able to mulligan her back out with Istrid. Okay, I think we're still doing okay here. No Meliteles. Okay, they are in the lead, but I think we're still looking pretty good. And in fact, for that reason, they will forfeit, but man, that match was really cool. So there's a look at Northern Realms Knight's deck for the new Double Down seasonal event. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions we should experiment with next. And take a look at our Double Down playlist to see previous decks that we've used in this event as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.